Well, Heavenly Father, we come once again to give you praise, honor, glory, and to say thank you, Lord, for another chance. I ask that you guide this meeting in best interest of Ascension Parish. I ask that you bless each and every one of us that's here tonight in the interest of this parish. And Lord God, as we leave this place tonight, we ask that you allow each of us to get home safe and sound. We ask this in no other name but the name of Jesus. Amen. And we all said amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got some people here.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here as a guest. Forgot about that.
You got an agenda? You got an agenda?
Call the meeting to order. All is present. Invocation done by myself. And number 3 was Oak Grove Community Center. I'd like to have Mr. Councilman Doug Hillenbeck come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The issue of what to do with Oak Grove Community Center has sort of been out there for several years now. I think it surfaced in the previous administration under Mr. Marchand. That area is really growing, and its commercial developments are moving in daily. And the issue of whether or not the parish could sell that property off was finally resolved. Mr. Babin, the first assistant district attorney, researched the issue, and it's quite clear that the property cannot be sold. There's certain language in the agreements from the Act of Donation that prohibit the property from being sold, and though it would bring many dollars, it looks like the parish can't do that, and the residents in the area, the community, also would like to see the center remain there. That being said, I'm coming tonight to ask the Recreation Committee to consider changing the site. When I say changing the site, you've got basketball goals there, basketball courts that are rarely used. You've got a very small community center that there's been virtually nothing done to it in 30 or 35 years. It hasn't been updated, and it's a very small center. And you've got some very limited playground equipment on the back side. I recently held a town hall meeting there. I believe the date was April 27th, and I had a packed house. Had 60 people seated, and there were around 15 or 20 additional people standing. In fact, I'm glad the fire marshal didn't come back, because he'd probably shut us down. But we actually had people pulling into the parking lot that were leaving because there was no place to park. Now, when excuse me, what I'm asking the committee to do is to think about enlarging the center, updating the center. I mean, if you go inside, it's same paneling, same paint that's been there for years and years. And I mean, it was a nice little center when it was first built, but it's really too small now. It does get a lot of use, but it is very tight. And there are basketball courts located just due north of that site. When you cross Bayou Manchac, there's a Breck Park on the left as you go up Highway 73, and so there's plenty of basketball courts there. And I'm in that area all the time. We just don't get a lot of use, and then so I'm asking maybe we look at either reducing or taking out the basketball courts, enlarging the building and updating it, and also providing for some additional parking and maybe a little more what I would call playground equipment or recreation equipment for small children. This community center, I've been told by some of the local residents, they're saying that there's 2 or 3 nights a week there's something going on there. So it is getting a lot of use, even in its limited capacity or limited usage. So I'm just looking for us to maybe do something to make it a little more user-friendly to benefit the public. And though it is in my district, I feel like, you know, people in Mr. Bierger's district, Ms. Fontenot's district, she represents, Mr. Valentine's district. Anyone can use the center, and I think it would be a great benefit to the area if we would put some money in the budget to update the center. That being said, there are 2 ladies also from the area that are here to speak tonight, Ms. Babette Scheck-Snyder and Ms. Kathleen Daniels, and I'll turn it over to them at this time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathleen Daniel, and I was instrumental in getting the Oak Grove Community Center built. I was on the Recreation Commission and what have you, and it was a wonderful little building, but the area has grown, and if anything y'all could do to help the neighborhood enlarge, update, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms.
Well, let her speak, and no, just let her speak, and I know.
Come on up.
My name is Babette Scheck-Snyder, and I know most of you. I would just like to reiterate what Councilman Hilnsbeck said. It's an eyesore right now because nothing's been done to it. We vote, well, I don't vote there now. I voted Oak Grove primary, but I did vote there for many, many years. My husband and I have been married for 45 years this year, and our children gave us a 25th wedding anniversary there, and it was really nice then. And I don't think anything has been changed. I think it's still the same. But it is used, it is for Oak Grove, and that is Oak Grove right there. So anything y'all could consider, I don't think it would take a great deal of money to refurbish it and maybe extend it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, put some signage out there like we used to have and everything. So any consideration would be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fontenot. Excuse me.
I want to let you know that Ms. Daniel, Ms. Kathleen drove in from St. Francisville to be here for this meeting, and she lives in St. Francisville. All of her family lives in the Oak Grove area, and so I appreciate her taking the time to come down before the committee, make that drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fontenot.
Mr. Hilnsbeck, I'm not sure if this is, I just kind of heard a rumor, and I haven't checked into it yet,
Okay.
but someone told me that this property could not be sold, but if you upped it, then it could be sold. So are we renovating it so that we can sell it?
Absolutely
or are we
not.
renovating it to?
It can't be sold. That's a decided issue, and this
Okay.
is
That's something that I would like to check into first,
Right.
because
Sure.
I had understood that Ricky Babin had made the statement that it couldn't be unless that there was a little clause, unless that it was updated or whatever. Then it could be.
No. That's
So
not the case. And
I just want to check with him.
Sure,
on
I
that.
understand.
And I wanted to
completely.
ask you about that because somebody had told me that a while back, and I just never went there.
Yeah, and I understand, Cheryl, where you're coming from. Look, there's been so many rumors flying about that property, and it's worth a lot of money. But
And I know that you said that there's no parking and stuff,
Yeah.
but we just built a Geismar Center, and we didn't have enough parking for a FEMA trailer park meeting that people got turned away because they couldn't park.
yeah, and
So, I
and
mean, we have
and
that kind of situation,
Yeah.
Elsewhere.
I understand,
in
and
new
I
buildings.
really can't do anything about that. I mean, it's kind of landlocked like it is, but we've got available land there to approve the parking. We've got basketball goals and courts that are not used. I mean, they're seldom used, and so what I'm saying is, let's make the site and the building more user friendly, where it's better serves the public. It's their tax dollars that's going to require to do that. Okay. Thank you.
Miss, yeah, Miss Suzanne, what I'm hearing is I would like to have you call Ricky Bauman to get some clarification on what Ms. Fontenot is talking about, whether we can or cannot sell a property if there's an upgrade, to make sure that it is correct with legal, and to get back with this recreation board.
And I think Ms. Kinchin, the Director of Recreation, okay, thank you. She may have a few comments to say on this as well. I know she's on the agenda with her report, but what Mr. Babin basically said at the town hall meeting was that some of the donors that have passed that originally donated the property, they're heirs. They're heirs there. And if we were to sell the property, guess what? The property was no longer being used for recreation. That's why the property was donated in the first place. Recreation and community use. Well, if we sell it to someone like Sonic Corporation and we get the $1 million, well, guess what? The heirs are going to want the $1 million, and I can't blame them. But that's not what they want. The community people and the donors that I have talked to and the people involved, they want to see that Oak Grove Center maintained, and they want to see it updated, better used by the community, for better use by the community. And again, though it's in Oak Grove, Coach, if you have someone from Donaldsonville who wants to rent that center and they don't want to have people go all the way to Donaldsonville, I mean, that's for the public.
Right.
But it's going to take public dollars to update it and make it more I call it user friendly. And so any other questions?
I just ask that we get some clarification on,
I understand.
on that.
I understand.
And, just bring it back to the Recreation Commission, and that way everybody be on the same page, and we can move forward with what we need to do.
Yeah, we need, and I'll be talking to Ricky. Maybe we'll get something right and get it forwarded to all of you.
That would be great.
I can tell you this: the people in the community up there, they are not interested in selling that property off. So when you look at the fact the original donors that are still alive, they don't want to sell it. They want the property maintained for the community. I just think we have an obligation, responsibility to go back and let's update it, because it is a very, very small center. I mean, compared to even Geismar, which they got a real nice center, but I agree with you, Cheryl, the parking is somewhat limited there for sure. But
I just wanted to make sure what page we were on, because I know that you wanted to sell it.
yeah,
You know,
well,
I mean,
no,
I
I
know
didn't
you
want to
were-
sell it. No, the media called me and asked me about it. And I said, well, we had been offered over $1 million, but I was never interested in selling it. Okay.
Tyler.
Yeah, one thing, Doug, I know you're talking about, if anybody wants to use it to Oak Grove.
Yeah.
We do have two large community centers. We have one at the Santa Monica Park and Cerrito Civic Center that's available to handle large crowds. If somebody has a large function, that could travel there also. So,
Yeah.
It might fit for you small groups, but if you need a big facility, we do have two in the parish that handle.
And
real large,
I
and the parking
understand,
is
but a lot of
available.
times you run into conflicts, people trying to schedule, dates are already taken, and that kind of thing. So, I mean, when you look at all the growth we've got in the northern end of the parish, I don't think it's unreasonable to come ask the committee to consider finding the dollars, putting it in the budget, and let's update it for the community. Okay?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Barron.
Yeah. Once it's clarified with legal, I think that the next approach may be possibly some preliminary sketches, preliminary cost, just get an idea.
Right.
So we know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
know where we're leaning, or what type monies is going to be needed, if it can be spared in the recreation.
Right.
That's the next step we need to take.
Right.
Some preliminary sketches.
And that's I appreciate that approach, and I'm not wanting us to break the bank in doing this, but keep in mind this won't be a recurring expense for the recreation budget. This will be maybe a one-time expense of updating it and maybe making some on-site improvements so it just better serves the community and the parish.
That it?
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'd like to call Ms. Cheryl up. If we're on this subject, let's go ahead and comment now, just to see where this needs to head.
Question and answer, or would you like me to just...
I know we were looking at updating some things at Santa Monica Park, painting and doing some different things. Did you have any estimate sheets on this?
Sanama Park is in the budget this year,
Okay.
in the site work at Parks. Oak Grove Community Center, there is nothing in the budget for upgrading. However, after the community meeting that we had on the 27th, I met with Mr. Hardman from the LWCF in Louisiana. I met again with him last week. He is coming out next week, the second week in June, and we will assess that property, because after he left there that night, he had some concerns about the fact that it is not a recreation site. And the grant clearly states that it has to be used for recreation purposes. So the ladies in the back and I were just talking, and they were showing me sketches. So preliminary sketches are okay, but until the LWCF man comes and assesses the property, everything will have to go through LWCF. So I can see expanding the building, but you're going to have to leave something there recreational. More playground equipment, benches, that kind of thing. Can't simply be a community center. I'm not real sure that there's going to be money for expanding the parking unless we just put limestone down. But we are looking at that property to upgrade and try to make it more user-friendly, for lack of a better phrase. So we are addressing that as a need out there. It's a very busy intersection. I do know Councilwoman Fontenot, I've never had to say that before, at that meeting that night, I think it was pretty well settled that there would not be a sale at Oak Grove, and I think it was to resounding cheers from the public there. So it is one of our most leased facilities, and we are addressing that particular site with LWCF. Perhaps, I think if you're going to address it as a committee, it might be to address it in appropriations for the budget for 2007. Might be the way to address that need, because I do think you're talking over $100,000 to upgrade that facility.
And that's why I
just
said we
my-
need some preliminary sketches and ideas, cost estimates to see about a budget.
I also would be in support of the Oak Grove Community Center due to the fact that the area in itself is growing so much, and there's a lot of people that have moved in that area to where we need to look at giving them some outlets on some things in that park to where we
Right.
just maybe
It's
need
a
to
very
expand.
limited piece of property. I'm not real sure how much more access we could put out onto 42. I don't know how much more access we could put out onto Jefferson Highway. It's just so tight where it's at, and then I don't even think we have access going out to Airline through that big building, whatever that is, across from the basketball court. We've even talked about maybe putting a fence in there, a small picket fence, so that we could make more things in there recreation-wise, but it's just not a safe corner to put kids playing on,
Well,
small children. The playground in the back is probably where we would add on to the playground equipment. And then, as I was telling the ladies in the back, we looked at removing the basketball goals and having that be a covered pavilion with some picnic tables and that kind of thing. So it would be that kind of an upgrade to a park. We're not going to put a ball field there.
Thank you, Michelle.
Any other
Okay.
questions? Doug?
Thank you,
Hillenbeck.
Mr. Chairman. Just one last thing. I do have the act of donation, a copy of it, and I'm not going to read it all. I'll read one line and then the four provisions. And it's just picking up in the middle of the paragraph, says that the donation herein is made subject to the following terms and provisions. A, that said recreational park retain the name of Oak Grove Community Center. B, that the first capital improvement made by donee herein by a 20 by 40 foot building. C, that the aforementioned property be used for recreational and civic purposes only. And D, that should said property be no longer needed or used for said purpose at any time in the future, then said property shall revert to the donor. And in case what Mr. Babin said was the donor or the donor's heirs. And so, and when you're talking about, Sonic said they were willing to give over $1 million. I can't hardly blame the donors. They'd like to have their money back if it's not going to be used for recreation and community. So that being said, and Cheryl, I appreciate your comments, and we do need to get that in writing from Mr. Babin.
All right.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hillenbeck. Any other questions? Okay, no other questions. Let's move on to number 4, intergovernmental agreement between the city of Donaldsonville and Ascension Parish. Okay, Mr. Schexnayder and Mr. Thompson advised myself that we'll be meeting sometime next week on the situation with the city of Donaldsonville and the parish and deciding on what direction we want to go in terms of the agreement that we have with the city of Donaldsonville. Also, I'd like to recognize Ms. Elizabeth Gibson, who's on that commission from the city of Donaldsonville, and I appreciate you coming tonight. We've been asking for someone to come and support of the commission from Donaldsonville, and I'd like for you to come up for a minute.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Well, I'll just share just a couple of things that have been going on at the meetings, the little information that I have. We awarded Jake Boudreaux the cleanup contract in an amount of $14,000. He was the only bid that we received. And we received several bids for the grass cutting contract. And Chuck Montero's, his bid was the lowest bid in the amount of $16,800. And we awarded the grass cutting contract to Chuck Montero. His contract began April 1st, 2006, and his contract will end on March 31st, 2007. Okay, and also we're in the process. A lady came to the board last week. She's a resident of Abian, a little small town in Donaldsonville. Her name is Ollie Mae Cooper, and she came to the board. She had some concerns about that park not being accessible to children. They don't have any equipment or anything like that for the children in the area. So she came to us with those concerns, and the board, what we're going to do, we're going to get an estimate from the city's attorney and get a cost and see what it would be to add equipment, swings, maybe a basketball goal. She mentioned that they didn't have bathroom facilities out there that was sufficient for the public. So once we get that estimate from the city's attorney, we're going to look into repairing, doing some repairs at the Abian Park. Okay. And also, we had some concerns about the Lemon Center, where the basketball games are being held and practices and so forth. We're going to get an estimate from the city's attorney on that, either to repair or replace the bleachers. Members of the community have expressed their concern for safety reasons. So we're going to get an estimate as to how much that will cost. And the board discussed, based on the estimate, what we will pay once we get that estimate, and we may pay a certain percentage once we get those figures in.
Okay.
Okay.
I got a few things I need to just ask for. I'm wanting to get an update on all the sports, the number of teams for its basketball and baseball and whatever else that they're doing in recreation.
Okay.
For the year the year that just passed.
Okay.
05, 06. For the next meeting, Ms. Gibson.
Okay, I have that
right
information
now,
for you. Okay.
Also, I'd like to have a copy of notification sent to the Recreation Board on meeting dates of the commission in Donaldsonville when they're holding meeting dates and time.
Okay.
That be sent to the board.
Okay.
And myself.
Okay. Okay, and I'll have that information for you.
And I have Suzanne call and just do an update on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming, and thank you
Okay.
for coming across on the other side.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. All right, Director report, Ms. Cheryl Kenton.
Okay. You already heard about Oak Grove. I can tell you that we continue to do maintenance in all the parks. We continue to address vandalism. Primarily, the vandalism is breaking into sheds and not stealing anything, just breaking in and climbing back out. We are looking at concession stands. There are some safety issues that we would like to address, namely oil, food being prepared without license, without permits. We think that's putting us into some kind of liability situation. Prairieville Park, has anyone been by there lately? It looks wonderful. We just had a tournament at Prairieville, Sanama, and Stevens for the baseball, and Prairieville was fabulous. It's a beautiful park again. They've cleared behind it, which I understand that land might belong to us. I would really like to find out through the Recreation Committee if that land that sits adjacent to the park between Prairieville Ball Field and that subdivision behind it is ours. If it is there any way I can access it as part of the park? We also had a softball tournament at Butch Gore, hugely successful. We visited the Capitol last week. We met with the LWCF gentleman who will be visiting our parish next week. We will be going to Hillaryville. We will be going to Mount Zion. We think that some of those properties were developed years ago with some LWCF money, and Mr. Hardman has informed us that if you have a park that was developed with that type of grant money and the park has been in disrepair for so many years, there is funding to refurbish those parks. So hopefully we can address those two parks with that money because it simply isn't in our budget to address the major concerns at those two parks. We are working on a grant for some trees to put in our parks. We are also working on a grant to put in another trail. The work on the trail at Sanama, if you come out to Sanama Park, you'll see that the limestone is about to be moved, the bridge is finished, and we've cleared enough to start putting in our nature trail. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that it would be nice if we had some type of name, and we were going to talk about that again. I think it might be nice if we just called it the Sanama Nature Trail, or Bayou Babin or Babin Bayou, whatever. I don't know what it's called exactly. But we have more people fishing out there than I've ever seen. There is a group, TakeMeFishing.org, that has grant money available to try to encourage kids to fish with their parents. We are looking into those. I'm not really sure, but I think when I sat on the Recreation Governing Board, those meetings are considered open meetings and are to be publicized. So maybe on the west side they might want to publicize those as public meetings, and you might get some input over there. And last but not least, Lyle Scheck-Snyder went to the doctor today, and we thought that he might have to go in the hospital, but he is fine with medication. So I'm glad that he'll be back working with us. It has been very busy. I can tell you we are still waiting on the part for the burnt-out pole at Sanama. And you were there the night that it burned. Was that the 15th, Councilman? Yes, yeah, we are still waiting on that part. But all the lights are working in all the parks. Even Jackie Robinson. We turned the earth up at Jackie Robinson, and we've cleaned it up. It looks wonderful, and people are using it again. So, yeah. So I think, as we said, as more people are visible in the parks, we will see the vandalism go down. So everything is going great in recreation. Questions?
Yes, Father.
Sherry, I just had one comment when you said we need a name for the Nature Trail Park. Just as you said that, I said Sanama Nature Trail in my head, and you came right out with it.
I think that
so
would
that's
be
a good name.
If y'all are okay with that, unless you want to.
Any problem with that?
I mean, it's
simple.
That or Bayou Babin or Babin Bayou Trail. But it's really going to be nice. It's really going to be nice. And we are also working, Mr. Hardman will come to try to find the funding to raise the boardwalk for the second phase of that particular park.
Sanama Trail Furthermore, that
Yeah.
sounds, that rings.
Y'all want to officially name it, send it to the council?
Let's do it. I make the motion that we name it the Santa Monica Nature Trail.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fontenot and second by Mr. Byrd, that we send this to the council for approval.
Great, great. And there's a 90-year-old man using our Santa Monica Trail out there. I walked with him the other day, and I had to stop, and he told me he's 90.
Very good. Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Miss Sherry, we talked about the tournaments that were being held, and there were tournament teams being held. The parish president made a comment about the girls was having trouble paying. Is that
The
all
tournament that we just
Yeah.
had? No, as a matter of fact, they just brought me a check today.
Okay, the boys
that
did
was-
too, right? I know the boys
Oh,
did
yes,
well.
this was all, these were tournament
So all
teams.
that's been solved. Apparently, the parish
I think
president
you
was-
might be thinking about Ascension Youth Softball. They have been experiencing some financial difficulties that I think are left over from the previous
He had said something
administration.
about a girls team, Hawks or something.
The Lady Hawks?
Lady Hawks.
They've been in Ascension Parish for 12 years.
Okay.
They are the original fast pitch organization.
Okay.
When we had no fast pitch at
'Cause I thought we had a policy for us if they wanted to lease the fields for us paying. That's
and
all.
they paid.
Okay.
They paid. I got 2 checks today, probably close to $6,000 between the leasing of the fields and their concessions.
Right.
And they did a wonderful job. And we sent out from the Tourist Commission. We sent out packets. Mosquito control did their part. Litter control. So it was really a good effort on the
So
part
it's
of the
working
parish.
good.
And I think we sent out some good messages. Lamar Dixon sent some things. Tanger sent some things.
Good.
I thought it was a great tournament.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kenton.
One other thing.
Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I would also like to, I know we abolished the Ascension Parish Recreation Governing Board. I would like to, whatever we have to do to clean up the, to go ahead and get our other 3 members that we need to sit on the board with us. Can you check into that for us, Michelle? to
I think
see
we
what
can
else
probably use the same process of nomination that we used for the previous board, but I'll check into that and email all of you a
Personnel,
copy of what that process was,
Okay.
if that works for you.
Hey, that's a start point, yeah.
I would recommend that you get Ms. Suzanne to advertise for the positions and
Good
tell them
idea.
that there's 3 opening, and they do like every other
Oh, yeah.
board, come before the Personnel Committee.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the process, so just get it out there and get it advertised, and I'm sure there's people out there waiting to come serve.
Thank you, Ms. Fontenot. Thank you. Is there any other questions? No other questions. Thank you, Ms. Kenton, for a fine job. Okay, if there's no other questions, we move on to number 6, old business. Any old business? Yes, Mr. Councilman Hillenback.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to update the committee about the property on Parker Road. As you know, the school board owns approximately 80 acres on Parker Road. They're very close to moving forward. Their sign is up on their primary school on one end of the property. And of course, there are plans at some point down the road to build another school on the opposite end of the property. There is some property available there for a park. I did go before the school board and propose the idea of possibly the school board working with the parish on a park on Parker Road. And I met again today with School Board President Ed Price and Board Member A.J. Nickens. And, of course, as you well know, the School Board has been very busy the last couple of months with selection of a new superintendent and also filling some of the positions that need to be filled. Mr. Price assured me today that they would look at this at some point in the very near future and come back with a decision as to whether or not excuse me, something could be worked out that would allow us to have a park for that area. And so I just wanted to update the committee and let you know that that's still out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hillenback. Any Old business, that's it. Number 7, any new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, just a minute. I'd just like to take this time to ask the public in itself to try and make the recreation meetings, try and come. Our next meeting is going to be June 27 at 6 o'clock. June 27 at 6 o'clock here at the Courthouse Annex. So I would ask that we get the public involved and ask that they come out to the meetings. And I want to thank the board members that's here tonight for coming out in support of the recreation. Mr.
One
Dempsey-Lamb.
One quick thing, Coach. Also, as far as the tournaments, we'll start the parish tournaments this weekend also. So I want to invite everyone out for that also.
Ms. Fonda.
Sherry, before you leave, I would just like to ask that, we hear a lot about getting some parks in Councilman Hillenbeck's district. We have one that was begun on 621 at the Duplessis School, and I really would like to see that expanded because it is in the heart of the Prairieville area.
Right. We put in our 6 Frisbee goals. We're going to put 3 more in. We have plans to put a little bridge that crosses that little creek to go to the front. The sign has been ordered, and we're going to do some other things there. However, the property doesn't really lend itself to a ball field per se. Now we are looking at putting a sand volleyball court there, but I really think that's one of our jewels in terms of a park. It's a true park, and I have more moms going there during the day and more people calling now to play tennis. As a matter of fact, I had 3 calls today about those nets and how they're sagging, so there must be something wrong with the ratchet. So we are working on 621, but it is to develop it as a park. What I will tell you is we've spoken with Breck, and we really would like to find some property along Bayou Manchac. That is a historic route, and there is so much money out there for that. I don't know how prohibitive the cost of land is along Bayou Manchac, but it would be wonderful if we could access Bayou Manchac across from where Breck has their property on Airline Highway and really make us a nice connected area that the state could support.
I had gotten an email from somebody that was concerned about that area and doing something out there.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a nice area to make some type of park where maybe you could even do some canoeing or other things, water
Right.
activities.
Right, and I think there is there's a move to clean that waterway up. But, to build another park or any new park, we need land, and there's no money in our budget this year for land acquisition. So just to drop that, onto your laps, maybe placing some money for land acquisition in the budget.
All right, Ms. Kenshin, let's make sure now that we, both areas are in dire need of looking at the Prairieville area and Oak Grove area. We had stated that previously in previous meeting, that those areas, especially Prairieville area, being as though it's one of the growingest parts of the parish, that we may look at doing some stuff within there with some sort of recreation and trying to expand or finding a piece of property
Right.
to just maybe have something going on.
Right, but not having a dedicated fund or a dedicated tax for recreation makes land acquisition almost prohibitive or almost impossible without a recommendation from the committee to the full council that be placed as an appropriations item for 2007 would be money to buy land. And you could even put it specifically where you wanted that land to maybe be located in certain parts of the parish. But the way the budget exists now, it's strictly to maintain the properties that we already own and some that we only lease.
Well, it's a long-term, short-term goal, long-term goal to look into it because of the growing parish, the parish as it's growing, and in that area in itself, Prairieville in itself, and Oak Grove, the numbers have increased it so much.
Right, and one of the charges that we had as a department was to come up with a 10-year plan, and at the very heart of that plan lies land acquisition. But without land acquisition, you can't really grow. I mean, if you've been to the parks anywhere, you're going to see that there's very little room to grow with our parks. And a lot of our parks have developed as we've needed something to happen, we've placed it as a park. Our two planned parks, Butch Gore and 621, and those have plenty of room to grow because they are planned parks. But so that needs to be the way that we grow in the future, with planned growth. But again, money for land acquisition is at the heart of that. You can't buy land, and you know land is going for even more in the northern part of the parish than it is down near us in Sorrento. So,
Right.
so
Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
Just one
Dempsey.
quick for you, Ms. Sheriff. Maybe this will help you. It's in Councilman Hillensbach's district, but we have a boat landing at the end of Muddy Creek, which you can put in to go to
is that the
buy a
property-
man shack.
Is that the property that we went and looked at?
No,
That's a
this
different.
is-
Nanchak Acres, yeah.
So
We-
I'm glad you brought that up about the canoeing and the.
Right, and there are people out there doing it now. I know that the Scouts are doing it. I know St. Teresa's doing it. But I think as more people use those waterways, there's more of an incentive for people to keep the debris off the banks, to keep the brush down, which will help with the mosquito problem. But also maybe it will motivate people to clean up their waterways.
Yeah, and we own that property, so.
Okay,
That's a
thank
start.
you. That might be a start.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay,
Kenton.
thank you.
No further question. Thank Mr. Berg, Mr. Jarrett. Order the motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Lambert. To adjourn this meeting. Thank you for coming out.